rather than actually think about the topic of non-maker, I just wanted to talk about what the Crafts Council does, and hopefully by illustrating our activity we can have a really useful conversation later about the areas that we're focusing on and what that actually means for the craft sector. So founded in 1971 and incorporated by Royal Charter, the Crafts Council is Britain's national agency for contemporary craft. Actually, that's sort of a phrase that we're reappraising at the moment as we move forward, but that's how we describe ourselves at the moment. So many areas of our work are the same as they were 45 years ago, namely support for makers, creating exhibitions, collecting significant craft for the nation, publishing crafts magazine, and introducing young people to craft. So I'm just going to flick through some of our exhibition images. This is actually an exhibition called Acts of Making that came to the Shipley in March last year, I think it was. So our exhibitions showcase exceptional contemporary craft in a variety of ways, through trends, themes and disciplines, and by looking at craft alongside other creative disciplines and in new and unexpected ways. They provide the chance for audiences to see, enjoy and handle the very best contemporary craft in leading galleries and museums, as well as non-traditional exhibiting spaces. So we originate exhibitions and work in partnership with institutions like the V&A to create high-profile exhibitions like The Power of Making and What is Luxury. We also work with smaller venues to create exhibitions based around the work from our collection. And this is touring exhibitions. We take them wherever we can across the country and wherever possible into international areas as well. Acts of Making, which features at the start of this loop, was such an example of a partnership exhibition. It's a great example of an exhibition which aimed to broaden people's experience of craft and also their perceptions about what it could be. It was a 2-week festival where visitors saw the creation and destruction of a pattern carpet made entirely from dust by Catherine Bertola, were able to create sound art via musical logs with the Owl Project, see a colourful procession of Vespa and Lambretta scooters parade through the streets of Gateshead. That was a Richard Wheater project. And Keith Harrison worked with skateboarders to create new stone benches that the skateboarders would then skate on and create and mould to create sculptures. So we have a number of these touring exhibitions currently on and touring across the country. They usually last for 18 months to 2 years, and we really work hard with venues to make it work for their venue and for their audiences. We also currently have a film festival coming up, Reel to Reel, which takes place on the 4th and 5th of May as part of London Craft Week. We were sensing this, a real desire for people to see things being made, but also craft in all manner of contexts. We thought it was the right moment to bring that together and curate a programme of films. We had an open call for applications and had, I think, 339 films submitted from around the world, and we've curated a programme of 18 films on each night. So if you're in London on the 4th and 5th of May, then book a ticket because it promises to be a really lovely evening. And in the autumn, we're launching a new touring exhibition on the theme of automata, which we don't believe an exhibition has been done on automata for quite a few years. So that hasn't been announced yet, so you have the inside scoop there. And the collections, as I mentioned, are very much the heart of our exhibitions programme. It's the country's only fully representative collection of contemporary craft, and it features the most important makers of the last 50 years. Our main collection has over 1,600 objects, and our handling collection is a rich learning resource of over 700 objects. Last year, Martina touched on our First Decade project, we received Heritage Lottery funding to start digitising all the items from our archive, including sketches, photos and other material relating to objects. So we started with the first decade of the collection, 72 to 82, and we are going to hopefully continue to do that. We're currently putting in funding bids. It was also the opportunity to create new assets and to talk to the significant makers of that generation. So as well as the existing archive items, it's about creating new content that opens up that collection, helps curators, helps audiences understand objects, helps other makers. Building the market. The Crafts Council has a strong track record in delivering high-quality major fairs and selling events, national and international, promoting British craft, growing the market and supporting the economic viability of makers and galleries. Hopefully many of you will have heard of Collect. It's our international fair for contemporary objects. Founded in 2004, it showcases high-end contemporary craft from around the world. There are usually about 40 galleries from the UK and international galleries who represent over 400 makers. Alongside this, we have Collect Open, which is an alternative exhibiting space for individual makers and artists and collaborations. That very much focuses on experimentation, we want makers to push their practice, to work together, to find unusual and alternative ways of engaging with their practice. Alongside this, we also tend to show an exhibition of our own and have a full programme of talks and events. The next Collect actually takes place in February next year at the Shipley Gallery in London. And in addition to Collect, we want to raise the profile of British craft overseas. We've taken makers to Design Days Dubai for the last 4 years, and that has significantly increased our visibility and the visibility of British craft in that region. And last week we announced a new programme called A Future Made, which is a partnership programme with the New Craftsman, Craft Scotland and Ruthin Craft Centre, supported by Arts Council England and Arts Council Wales. And that will see us take a number of makers to international design fairs over the course of 2 years, starting with Design Miami Basel this June. Alongside that, what we want to do is we're creating a CPD element around working internationally for a far larger number of makers. So taking a smaller number of makers to these fairs, but actually we want the impact to have much wider reach and work with makers who have those international ambitions, be it to export their work or to find international representation. And nearly a year ago, we launched our new Crafts Council directory online. So if anybody remembers the old Index of Makers, it's a 21st century version of that. And we have over 500 makers on there, which has already had we've yielded significant results, and we've had quite a few makers who have had commissions and now have international representation. So this next year we'll be pushing and growing that significantly. So one of the major elements that we have always been involved with, and anybody who knows about the history of the Crafts Council and its early foundations and its and how significant makers are to the Crafts Council, we still have to have a third, I think, of maker trustees on our board. Our role has very much been about supporting and developing the talent of makers. So we encourage makers to be ambitious, to take risks, and to expand their creative, technological and geographic horizons to deliver the highest quality work to the widest audiences. We want them to deepen and broaden their expertise, to meet cultural and business opportunities and challenges, and to realise their full creative and commercial potential. We've had a long tradition of developing talent, with makers such as Tom Dixon and Thomas Heatherwick among those supported early in their careers. The aim of our talent development programmes is to support artistic and entrepreneurial excellence at every career stage. We have a number of talent development programmes that are very much about supporting makers across their career. I'll just tell you a bit about each of them. Hot House is our programme for makers at the very start of their career, I think within 3 years of setting up their practice. It's a 6-month programme which includes 10 one-day workshops, a 2-day residential, 6 hours of one-to-one mentoring, and connects them to a national network of makers and organisations. It provides the tools to grow a sustainable and successful business. We've had 163 makers have been through the programme, and there are 41 makers currently on that programme. The feedback we have on it is that it significantly impacts on their practice, with 100% saying it is positively impacted on their practice. So it's a programme we're very proud of. Injection is our year-long programme for established makers, providing them with the tools to develop their aspirations for growth and embed sustainability and resilience within their business. It gives makers greater confidence to approach funders or investors, and the programme has created a national network of role models and ambassadors of the highest calibre for the sector. We have 19 makers currently on that programme, and we're actually looking to refresh and reshape that programme over the next year. Portfolio is the third programme that we have ongoing at the moment, and that's a much more fluid programme which enables makers to work in collaboration with other industries. These programmes push their practice forward and allow them to explore often unexpected routes, enabling them to share their skills and ways of working in order to contribute to progression and innovation in other sectors. Previous portfolio projects include 3 craft and tech residencies in partnership with Watershed in Bristol, a placemaking project in the Royal Historic Chatham Dockyard. Got that all wrong, but Chatham. And we're now in the second year of Parallel Practices. Parallel Practices is a partnership between the Crafts Council and the Cultural Institute at King's College, London. It brings together makers and medical professionals in order to drive innovation in medical research and healthcare. It piloted in 2014 to stimulate learning and innovation through a focus on the body, materials and processes that inform clinical outcomes and artistic practice. We've got another film there, which I urge you to go on to our website and have a look at. It's a really interesting film. The next Parallel Practices residencies have just started. So we have automata maker John Grayson working with the Natural and Mathematical Sciences Department. Celia Pym, who took part in the pilot programme, is continuing her collaboration with the Anatomy Department, and I believe she's running darning clubs for young medics. And Shelley James is working with the Natural and Mathematical Sciences students. Alongside this, we want to give the greatest impact to the greatest number of makers. So we want to focus on the areas that they need to work on sometimes. If they want to know about export, intellectual property, press and marketing, working with galleries, we run masterclasses and workshops to help them develop those skills. So touching on the innovation and coming back to the Parallel Practices theme, advances in material science and craft processes, alongside rapidly evolving and more affordable digital fabrication technologies and the rise of the maker movement, are transforming how craft is practiced and creating opportunities for makers to contribute to scalable innovation in sectors like science, engineering, manufacturing, technology and medicine. In 2014, our innovation programme was launched by Ed Vaizey, Minister of State for Culture and the Digital Economy, and the first major event in this programme was our Makeshift Conference, which took place in London. It was a sellout event with over 200 attendees from a range of sectors. The next Makeshift Conference takes place at the Museum of Science and Industry in Manchester, and it will be focusing on applied robotics, smart materials, biodesign and connected wearables. The future of craft in the UK rests in our ability to nurture talent. Our study in craft research in 2014 revealed that UK craft education at all levels is in serious jeopardy, with rapidly declining participation and provision rates at key stages 4 and 5. We found that students taking craft-related design GCSEs had dropped by 25% in 5 years. So it's a very worrying situation. And we've got the next updated study in craft research report coming out this summer. So in response to that, our Education Manifesto for Craft and Learning set out a blueprint for tackling this decline and securing the future of craft education. We launched that in 2014 at the House of Commons at a cross-party event. We know that when given the opportunity, children and young people are passionate and deeply engaged in making. So we will be building on the success of previous learning programmes that we've run over the years to launch Make Your Future in secondary schools this autumn. It follows the model of connecting higher education institutes and their technicians with local secondary schools, local artists, local makers, local industry, to really open up young students' eyes to the possibility of a career in craft. And we've also teamed up with Inspiring the Future programme to get makers into schools talking about their careers, again to open up young people's eyes to that possibility. Our research delivers rigorous evidence on craft trends, and its primary purpose is to inform policy and practice to support a thriving UK craft sector. And we're already seeing the impact of that, and we're making great headway with the government departments that we're talking to. And as a result of that, the government is increasingly recognising the importance of craft within the creative industries, and the craft sector is now included in the DCMS economic estimates, which it hadn't previously been. So we're also working at strengthening our position within relevant networks and policy frameworks, including Create UK, the Craft Industry Board, the Creative Industries Federation, local enterprise partnerships and local authorities. We currently lead the World Crafts Council Europe as the current president, and we are working with international partners on Creative Europe projects and collaborating with the British Council and UKTI. In addition to all this, we want to educate, inspire and inform through our digital activity. Our digital followers across all our accounts and platforms is currently over 400,000 people, and we had 600,000 visitors to our website last year. So a very quick word on the future of the Crafts Council. Our priorities for the next couple of years are to continue to make a compelling case for strategic improvements in education and skills provision for craft, to support and promote craft as a dynamic and growing creative industry which provides tangible value to the economy and to innovation, to equip makers with the opportunities, skills and expertise to thrive as excellent businesses and artistic practices, to grow this diversity and size of our audiences, providing high quality physical and digital opportunities to enjoy craft, and to work in closer partnership with regional organisations and venues and makers across the UK. So that is our work in a nutshell. I've probably missed some areas. That's it.